All right, welcome back. When a user interacts with our application, we can capture different events. And I know we changed the topic, but we still use directives to work with events. The most common one is going to be the on click. When a user clicks on something, we want to run a function or to do something about that. Let's create an example. Let's say that we have a user, I'm going to say const, and then name, and then this one, it's equals to a ref, and then open and close. And I guess, again, we're going to use Francis. And then when the user clicks on something, we want to update the name. So I'm going to do return, and we are going to use that name. I'm going to say name, and then at the top, we need to create the function. I'm going to say function, and then let's call it update, and then name, and then open. And then I guess we are going to be doing name dot, and then value, because it's a ref, it's not a reactive. And then we're going to change it to Steve. And since this is a function that we want to run when the user clicks something, well, I'm going to need to return it. Now at the top, I'm going to go here and say that we want to first display the name. I'm going to say h1, open and close, and then of course, we're going to print the name. If I save it and reload the application, we get the Francis. But now when the user clicks, I want to change it. So first, I'm going to create a div, and this one is going to be a click me type of deal. And then, of course, we need to run the function when we click it. And this, I'm going to say v and then on. This is the directive that we use to get, to recognize an event. In this case, when we do a v on, we need to call this function so we can update the name. Super simple. Now, the things that you have a lot of different types of events. You have a click, you have a keyboard event like pressing the letter G or something like that. So you need to specify what type of event you want to listen to. So in this case, we need to use a con, and then we need to say click because we are going to listen for the click. If I save the application and reload it, now if I go here and just click it, we're going to change that reactive property from Francis to Steve. Now the v on, and again, this is a directive. You have a lot of different, options right here. Let's say that you want to double click. So it's going to be dbl and then click. We have a lot of different options. I'm going to reload it. And now if I do click, well, it's not change it. It will only change it if I do double click. Now, when you work with events, you usually get some information back. So you get the event, object. And this is no different. When you use it, you will be getting that object. Now, I want to create an example, and I want to maybe create a style tag so we can, create maybe a tiny little box so we can use it, a div where we can click. And I'm gonna say background, and I'm gonna be doing a red, and then I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna maybe do it 200 pixels, something like that, and then I'm gonna do height. And right now, again, you don't need to do this with me. You just need to watch. I'm going to go right here and just going to create a line and split it. And now I want to use that div. And that div is going to be a class of box. And what I want to do, I want to get the event and I want to get the coordinates of the event. And I'm going to say hover me, something like that. Now, if I save it and go right here, we have the line and, we have a big red square. So when I use my mouse and I go on top of the red square, I want to know where the mouse is. So for this, we need to access to the event values so we can know the X and the Y position of my mouse. So I'm going to go right here at the bottom and I want to print that information. So first is going to be the X information, the X position, and then it's going to be the Y position, the X axis and the Y axis. Now for this, of course, we need to do something right here at the bottom. I'm going to create a property where we're going to get the values and put it on the screen. I'm going to say const and then coord. And maybe, right now it makes no sense, but it will in a minute. I'm going to say ref, and then I want to store the X position right here. And then I want to store the Y position right here. And every time that we move the mouse, we want to update those values. Now, since I'm using them right here, I want to export them or return them right here at the bottom. Maybe I made a mistake right here. Let me just go here. Actually, that's my mistake. I erased it by, mistake. So there we go, chords. So now I'm going to go right here at the top and we want to print the chord. So it's going to be chord and then dot and we have the X. And then at the bottom, we have the chord and then we have the Y. So chord and then dot, and then y. And if you want to do this on your own, you can. If I go to my application, we can see that we have the x and the y. So now I want to update those values. And for this, I'm going to go right here, and I need to do the v on, because remember, we are listening for an event. Which event? Well, it's going to be the mouse and then move. Mouse and then move. And then this one is going to be equals to a function called getCourt. We don't have this function. We need to create it. I'm going to go at the bottom, and maybe, you know what? I'm going to be putting it right here. Why not? So I'm going to say that we have that function, and that function is going to get the information about the mouse from this v-on. How can we get the information? So when you use this directive, the event type of directive, you are going to be getting the event by default. You don't need to do something like this, right? So you don't need to pass it manually. You are going to be getting it. So when you go to this function, you just use the event, and that's it. Now, since we want to use this function outside, we need to return it. And now, since we are going to be getting the event every time that we hover with the mouse, well, we just need to get it and update, the ref. So I'm going to go and say court. There we go, dot, and then remember we are using a ref, so we need to use value and then x and equals to, and we are accessing the event, and we do a client and then x, so we can know the x. And then it's going to be the same for the other one, so it's going to be court, then value, and then y. And this one is equals to the event that we get right there at the top, and then client, and instead of x is going to be y. Now, since we are, already getting and updating these values, we should be getting it on the screen when I reload. If I go here, notice that we get the x and the y position. So like I said before, even though we are not passing the event right here, you're still getting it by default. Okay, so let's go to the next section and expand a little bit more about this topic.